In my main segment over on my other channel yesterday, I expressed some disdain for the U.S. media apparatus for ignoring the discussion around stimulus checks and instead focusing on the nonsensical hearings over Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I still truly feel that is not the most important thing for you to hear about, which is why I'll say this very simply. They're not going to be giving you a $2,000 check. It's going to be $1,400, and it's going to be means tested, meaning people who make $50,000 or more will see reduced checks or none at all. That's more important. But I do think I was wrong perhaps a little bit. The story does need to be covered because it's not so much about Marjorie Taylor Greene. It is a distraction, but it shows you how they're going to go after anyone they can in order to gain that distraction, to make that work. Marjorie Taylor Greene, a freshman congresswoman, has a history of saying really dumb things and really offensive things. And she apologized for them and said she was wrong. She then went on to criticize the media. She has been kicked off her committees over embrace of conspiracy theories. Well, to put it simply, many new bills will go through a committee where the people will vote on it, and then it can go for a floor vote, and then it can move on to the Senate, et cetera, et cetera. Not being on a committee means she will not be able to vote on particular legislation. Not that it entirely matters. Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and said, so what? The Democrats control the House anyway, so what's the point? And I guess so. If the Democrats don't want a Republican bill getting through, then it probably won't. And that's exactly the problem here, the real problem with everything. Now, I will tell you, we have some very disturbing news coming from Time Magazine, where they basically admit to a secret cabal conspiracy to rig the elections or something. I'm going to get into that in the next segment because with this one, I want to make sure I talk about what we saw last night and how it's going to impact us. And at 4, I will be going over the insanity that is the rigging of the election. But look, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a freshman congresswoman that doesn't deserve this level of scrutiny. What we're seeing is the Democrats will take any opportunity to remove their political opponents without legitimate process. Okay, now hold on. They held a vote and the House voted to kick her off. The problem is it's for things she did before she got elected, things that she apologized for, and she was elected for her district. They have now stripped the representation away from her district. Do you see where this is going? I've been warning for a long time, and I am getting sick and tired of this. But now the Democrats, with the power they've gained, they lost a decent portion of their House seats, but they still control the House. Now they control the Senate. They're going to start the purges. Getting rid of Marjorie Taylor Greene is low-hanging fruit, but they're trying to get rid of Ted Cruz and Hawley and, well, all of the Republicans. They want uniparty control, and they are going that direction. They are saying they are going to take the military and purge them, ordering a full stand-down order in the next 60 days to weed out extremism. Well, if Marjorie Taylor Greene's silly opinions and offensive comments are the grounds, then it's going to get really, really bad. Some of the people who got removed DC from the National Guard were just having the Gadsden flag. Here's the story from The Hill. House votes to kick Greene off committees over embrace of conspiracy theories. House Democrats on Thursday took the extraordinary step of voting to strip committee assignments from a member of the opposite party, saying Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene had forfeited her right to those seats by endorsing conspiracy theories, racist dogma, and violence against Democratic politicians. Well before she was elected. You see what's happening? Cancel culture. They'll go into your past. There is no room for redemption because they don't care. Stop acting like there's a double standard that matters. I hear it all the time from moderates and conservatives. It's a double standard. It's not fair. They don't care. And you're sitting there saying, referee, and the referee's laughing because he's a Democrat. They're cheating in front of you. They just kicked out a Republican. They're going to do it again. They say lawmakers passed the resolution. Mind you, Republicans, 11 of them sided with the Democrats. Lawmakers passed the resolution largely among party lines, 230 to 199, to remove Greene from the House Education and Budget committees after Republicans declined to take action against her themselves. 11 Republicans crossed the aisle in a rare rebuke of a colleague from their own party. Mario Diaz-Balart of Florida, Brian Fitzpatrick, Carlos Jimenez, Chris Jacobs, John Katko, Young Kim, Adam Kinzinger, Nicole Malliotakis, Maria Elvira Salazar, Chris Smith, and Fred Upton. The debate over Greene's fate has become emblematic of a larger brawl over the direction and future of the Republican Party in a post-Trump Washington. The former president has moved to Florida, his Twitter account shut down, but remains an enormous influence over GOP-based voters drawn to the nationalist no apologies persona that defined his time in the White House, a mold Greene has assumed with Trump's enthusiastic support. Democrats implored the GOP to hold members of Congress to what they think should be a minimal standard, that anyone who has endorsed political violence or embraced conspiracy theories like QAnon, whose supporters attacked the Capitol on January 6th, had no business serving on committees. Look, threats of violence are wrong. Absolutely. These are things that happened before she got elected. That's my understanding at the very least. Many people called out, Republicans were saying the resolution against her didn't actually cite anything she really said. And everything that she did say happened before she got elected. If you do something as a member of Congress, I can understand censure or expulsion. This is just them targeting anybody who may be a visage of Trumpism. They say House Republicans, wary of angering the GOP base that embraces Trump and Greene, have stepped to her defense. While condemning Greene's incendiary comments, they also maintain that most were made before she became a member of Congress and therefore shouldn't be disqualifying. Republicans further warn that Democrats were setting a dangerous precedent, with the majority party taking unilateral action to dictate the minorities committee roster. I think you are frankly overlooking the unprecedented nature of the acts that you have decided upon and where they may lead us when the majority changes, said Rep. Tom Cole, the senior Republican on the Rules Committee. What do you think is going to happen next? What happens in 2022 when Republicans take the House? Will they all just start voting to remove people? Why not? Why not? A tit for tat. That's where we're headed. They'll definitely get rid of squad members. Why not just start expelling people? How long until the Democrats start doing it? They say, given the extraordinary nature of Greene's past stances, Democrats said they had no qualms about setting an institutional precedent Thursday. If any of our members threaten the safety of other members, we'd be the first ones to take them off a committee, said Speaker Nancy Pelosi. And that is an outright lie. How many of the Democrats supported the riots? So shut up. Oh, but I guess you said other members. They are elites, as it were. Relegated to the minority after losing the White House, Senate, and House, Republicans are trying to maintain what House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy described as a very big tent. Oh, you know what? Shut up. I don't care about McConnell or McCarthy. These people are spineless, pathetic losers. Losers. I don't care. The Republicans are trash. They've always been trash. And I only defended them insofar as Donald Trump was proposing some good things I liked. And the Democrats are proposing really, really bad things. The Republicans down ticket in the 2020 election got my vote simply for not being Democrats and because a Democratic majority meant insane garbage. But as if I would support them directly. They got the Democrats are worse vote from me. Donald Trump from me got I'll take the things he's offering. Banning critical race theory, his later efforts to remove troops from the Middle East, the Abraham Accords, and the booming economy of 2019. There were things I liked about what he was doing. The Republican Party, garbage party. I won't vote for. I got to be honest, I probably won't ever vote again. We'll see how things play out. But look, my friends, it's only a matter of time before they absolutely nuke this channel. I know I say it in almost every video, but you need to listen because it's true. What we are seeing now with the purging of Marjorie Taylor Greene is a newly elected freshman congresswoman being purged for past bad statements. And they're bad. I get it. It's cancel culture. It's getting worse. They're doing a cancel culture wave over the entire military. Every branch. A full stand down. That's insane. I hear that National Guardsmen are demoralized, but I don't know. I heard there are people in DC serving in the National Guard who say they're demoralized. And I'm just like, I don't care, dude. If look, with all due respect, if you're going to follow illegal orders that you think are illegal and you don't care, then why am I going to come to your defense? If you're somebody who votes for this over and over again, you expect me to come to your defense? I'll defend the principle. I'll defend the individuals who stand on principle. But the reality is you've got a lot of people who just don't care. They'll pretend to care and then they'll keep just walking along. That's the Republican Party. Spineless, pathetic losers. Have they fought for you? Have they fought for what you wanted? Or have they just sat back and said Democrat bad the entire time? And don't get me wrong. Look, I voted for some of these people. And the reason was Democrats are bad. But as for an actual opposition party to the Democrats, they don't provide anything other than a placeholder. That's it. Now that the Democrats have decided to further their offensive action, accusing the rest of the GOP of being QAnon supporters, they say they're going after Lauren Boebert. They will remove her next, and they'll keep doing it because it's about raw power. Double standards are meaningless to people who have no shame. And they like to say the same thing about Republicans. You know what? Democrats, leftists, please roast the Republicans all day and night because they're garbage, pathetic losers, and I don't care. The reality is we have a corrupt political class that will do anything to remove anyone who dare stand in their way. There we go. Now we have AOC using her speech in Congress to accuse critics of trying to discredit her claim that she is making a mountain out of a molehill after she is hit by claims she exaggerated her account of MAGA riot. Y'all can just shut your mouths, you pathetic morons. Every single person. I am sick of this. I'm talking about the media. I'm talking about the Democrats and those who would defend AOC. Now, for the rest of you, the people who are railing on her, please do some research because I made this mistake first. Well, maybe not first, but I made this mistake following the news. They say AOC was not at the Capitol when the riots happened. So what was her story really about? Her story was about before the building was even breached. She was panicking because someone knocked on her door. You know what, man? I'm just so sick of all of it. I really, really am. The culture war is just getting worse. Nothing is getting solved, and people just want retribution of some kind, emotional satisfaction for their tribe. Marjorie Taylor Greene said dumb things, but AOC fabricated a story. And now I go on Facebook and I'm just, you know what, man? I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of it. I see tons of people who are not leftists saying, well, you know, AOC was scared and I can respect it. And so I'm just copy and pasting responses. Ocasio-Cortez in her Instagram video says at 1:01 p.m., she actually gives us a timeline. The cop banged on her door. The Capitol building wasn't breached until 2:10. The rioters didn't reach the House chamber doors until 2:30. And they didn't evacuate the House chamber until 2:39. Ocasio-Cortez was never anywhere near any of this. And at the time of her story, no one breached any building. No one even knew the buildings would have been breached. Go watch her Instagram video. She says at 1:01 p.m. Then just read the New York Times timeline. At 12:10, rioters breached the Capitol building. At 1 o'clock, there was no attack on the doors of the buildings. There was fighting between some of the Trump people and police at the first barricades. That was it. AOC claimed, I thought they got in. I know I'm rehashing a little bit of this, but I really need to make sure you guys know what actually went down with her lies. She lied. It's definitive. She lied. As a statement of fact, I will say that she lied. She went on Twitter and said the evacuation that, you know, they had to evacuate everybody because of the riots. AOC got evacuated because of a bomb scare. If she wanted to say it was scared because there were bombs, sure. But she said, quote, she said she thought to herself, quote, they got in or inside or something like that. She made it up. So now as they're removing a Republican for having bad opinions, nothing happens to AOC or Ilhan Omar or any of these people. Why? Because they control it. They want it. They own it. They've owned it for a long time. And we've been sitting here pointing it out and it's done nothing. For whatever reason. I think the reason is the Republican Party does not really represent conservatives or Republicans. And I'm pissed off, but Republican voters, many of them are too stupid to realize that they're being manipulated by the Republican Party. Now, Trump voters came along. Many of them were not Republicans. Many of them were. They were new voters and they voted for Trump and they didn't really like the Republicans all that much. But there are too many stupid Republican voters who keep voting for these people who sell them out to the Democrats and keep giving the left what they want. Meanwhile, this is what you get from the really, really dumb YouTube type lefties that are like, Joe Biden's not a socialist. The conservatives really think Joe Biden's going to bring about the far left. It's not that Joe Biden is going to bring about the far left. It's about the fact that Joe Biden, for one, is a corporate neolib who's going to sell out anybody he can to whoever he wants to make money. He's an authoritarian and fascistic individual. And the issue is, yes, he's going to implement further left policies. Look, anybody who claims Joe Biden's a socialist is a moron, and anybody saying Antifa are Democrats is also lying or stupid. Antifa hates Joe Biden, but Joe Biden does give them a bit of what they want. Kamala Harris did try to bail them out, or at least solicited donations to help them. They will use them to get what they want. So no, we're not going to see a full-blown socialist takeover from Biden, but he's going to cave a bit to the far left in some ways. That's the erosion. I'm sick of the bad faith BS. What's happening is that Antifa gets to do whatever they want. They get away with it. They don't get arrested. They get arrested and they don't get prosecuted. And then Biden and Kamala will implement only some leftward policies. The Republicans will fight for literally nothing. Meanwhile, young socialists scream and cry how they deserve more from the government, and how the government doesn't give them enough of what they want, and how the left is losing, and the Democrats are actually far right. Meanwhile, the Democrats actually support the left, not as much as they'd like, and it just shows you the erosion. The Overton window shifting further and further left until finally the cliffs erode and everything just falls apart. Fascism is here, my friends. It's not an exaggeration. Fascism is here. Yeah. They want to ban private messaging apps. They're advocating against encrypted communications. They're arguing that effectively you talking to someone is dangerous because you could spread misinformation. They want to spy on you. They want to know what you are saying, and they want to stop you from being able to say things they don't agree with. They lobby the big tech companies to censor information so you can't know what's going on. It is fascism. It is supporting an authoritarian political party for American interests. And it was the anti-fascist morons who voted for it, defending Joe Biden like morons, when he has always been an establishment crony elite, imperialist, fascistic, whatever. And it was the progressives who said you have to do it. Oh, I'll name some names. I mean, you had ContraPoints, for instance. I like Contra. She makes good content, but she was like, you have to vote for Joe Biden. You have to vote for the authoritarian wingnut who oversaw Iraqi operations, and his brother made millions, and who was part of the administration that blew up American citizens and bombed kids. Great. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, she should have been advocating for Donald Trump. Fine, I get it. And there's arguments about, did it really matter? Because Trump did a lot of bad things. Well, I'll tell you this. We had at least the Abraham Accords under Trump. That's the best we could have gotten, I suppose, if compared with Joe Biden, because Joe Biden's a psychotic despot. You had people like Vosh, for instance, who claims to be a lefty, who makes drama videos about people like me, not videos. Well, he makes drama videos and he complains about other YouTubers. And he advocated, he was acting in defense of Antifa and the violent riots, and in defense on Twitter of the militarized occupation of Washington, D.C. These people, look, if you advocated for Joe Biden because you were scared of Trump, well, great, you've been fleeced. Trump was not a desperate. Trump was just a wild card, and he didn't know what he was doing half the time. And a lot of people thought it was 4D chess. Sometimes Trump had good plans and good plays, and often he didn't. And he struggled to get anything done. The Abraham Accords were great. I love it. Peace in the Middle East to the best of our ability. Sure, fine. He was trying later on to pull our troops out of the Middle East, but he did increase drone strikes. Not a perfect person, but way better than Biden for a lot of reasons. Now we have Biden. He lied to you about your checks, and this is where we're at. What do you call it when someone advocates for the destruction of the working class, when rioters go around smashing up small businesses, and then defend 25,000 armed shoot-to-kill guardsmen in Washington, D.C.? What do you call it? What do you call it when they support the party that called for crew-serviced machine guns in D.C., at least according to Ken Cuccinelli? He said Nancy Pelosi asked about getting those. He said, that's crazy. We can't do that. I call it fascism. I call it fascism when the corporations in the state are acting in concert for the benefit of one political party that blows up kids and signed the indefinite detention provisions and already reopened the detention facility for children on the southern border. And all of you people who voted for that, I think you supported a fascist. Joe Biden's reopening the minor migrant detention center. Oh no, Trump closed it and Biden brought it back. The checks he promised you are now means tested and going down to $1,400. We hear that there's rumors of a possible military incursion happening in Syria. We can fully expect Joe Biden to ramp everything up in the Middle East. What person in their right mind would vote for the military occupation of D.C.? The mass censorship by social media companies now of many progressive channels. That's right. Progressives are getting banned. All of these people who supported this institution, this establishment, have brought this on themselves. And I can say this, welcome to the fight. I hope you're willing to push back on it now, but they probably won't be, because many of these people are grifters. Their goal is to just sell you tribalism, and that's what we're going to get. The left will continue to get away with whatever they want. The AOC will make up stories and be called out a million times, but it won't matter. And it's only going to get worse. And I'll tell you how it gets worse. Time magazine has put out an article claiming that there was a conspiracy among a secret cabal to subvert the election through manipulation, rule changes, changing laws, changing perception. I'm not kidding. Time magazine actually said it. I'm going to cover that at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast, and I'll see you all there.